but we have successfully overcome, and we shall discuss 2 days newspapers today. December 24, December 25, 2 days Hindu newspapers will be discussed today. So without taking too much time of yours, I am going to start the program. Good afternoon everybody, good to see you all. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas Eve, and we shall again back on track to learn. So December 24 newspaper, Samyukta Kisan Morcha rejects government's offer to resume talks. 𝐃𝐸 wins arbitration award, and that is the major news of the day. So let us start. The first question is given to you straight away. Pick out among the following the most correct information. India has been ordered to return up to $1.4 billion to 𝐃𝐸 PLC of UK after an international arbitration overturned tax demanded retrospectively. But the 3-member tribunal unanimously ruled that the claim of 10,247 crore in the past taxes over 2006-07 internal reorganization of Kaynes energy business was not a valid demand. C. The tribunal ordered the government to desist from seeking such a tax and return the value of shares it had sold, dividends seized and tax refunds withheld to recover the tax demand. D. The government was asked to compensate Kaynes for the total harm suffered together with interest cost and cost of arbitration. E. The arbitration award can be used to approach courts in countries such as UK to seize any property owned by the government of India overseas to recover the award if the award is not honoured. Okay. I shall give you more than the time allotted, 15 seconds, because you have got things to read. I have gone through all the choices. Now to check which is the most correct. Is it all except E, or all except D, or all except D and E, or all except C and D, or none of the above choices? Okay, I got the first response. Manju says it is the second option, all except D. So let the responses come. I require more response to finalize my answer. Okay. So Pratisha, Arya, everybody says it is 2. So it is time for me to intervene. All except D means the government was asked to compensate Kaynes for total harm suffered together with interest cost and cost of arbitration. The answer is all the above are true. So it is none of these is the answer, not the second option, but it is a fifth option which is correct. I shall briefly tell you about this case. Kaynes Energy, when they reorganized their business in India as Kaynes Energy India Limited, the income tax department made a demand worth 10,247 crore. So company disputed this demand and said that it was a faulty demand made by the income tax department, but what the income tax department did was to sell shares of Kaynes and stop or withheld the income tax department withheld the dividend payouts by Kaynes India. All these they were done, and shares were sold, dividends seized and tax refunds withheld to recover the tax demand. Then Kaynes went for international arbitration, and finally the arbitration tribunal declared that Kaynes' position was correct and income tax department failed in the case. So 10,247 crore with interest must be returned to the company. If the company, sorry, if the arbitration award is not honored by the government, then the company can even approach the courts in countries like UK and seize any of the properties owned by the government of India. So that is it. So Energy has won the arbitration award by the International Arbitration Court. So now what we are looking forward to is whether the government of India will honor or challenge the order in any way possible. The government said that it would be looking for options. So we have to wait and see what has happened. I think the case is clearly presented to you. Cain Energy wins arbitration award. I have already given you. The Income Tax Department seeks information from Cain Energy about group reorganization done in 2006. This was done in 2014 January. By March 2015, IT department sent a retrospective sent a notice to the Cain Energy the company citing retrospective legislation. Retrospective legislation means legislation given with retrospective effect. Okay, so that was it. So May 2018, pending arbitration proceedings, IT department begins selling Cain shares to recover tax dues. 2018, 3-member International Arbitration Tribunal concludes the hearing, and finally the verdict came on December 23. Cain Energy won the arbitration. Okay, so that's it. Second question, pick out among the following the incorrect choice, mind you, the incorrect choice regarding the recent government decision with regard to DTH home services. Please read. Oh yeah, yes, the unknowingly the answer solution is also provided, so there is no point in giving the question. So I am skipping, it is the second option. License fees increased by 50% is wrong, rather license fees decreased. Okay, so I am making a small amend. Let my staff come and help me out in changing the screen. Do it, please do. Okay, the honor goes to me because I gave you the answers. Fee is increased by 50% is wrong, rather license fees reduced. So what is this DTH, direct to home? Direct to home services, in that direct to home services the government has given foreign direct investment. FDI means foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment up to 100% is permitted in DTH services. The license fee is reduced, license period has been increased from 10 years to 20 years, and so the answer is again the second option is wrong. What is the correction? License fees decreased, and of course it is not by 50%, license fees decreased. So it is clear. So I shall move on to my next question. Get ready. As per statistics, how many television sets are there in India? Let the answers come. Is it 6 crore, 9 crore, 12 crore, 18 crore or none of these? Yes, let the responses come. It looks as if you are rushing through the newspapers now to get the correct answer. Quickly let the answers come. Yes, the option number 4, 18 crore is correct. There are 18 crore television sets, out of which the contribution of DTH is 6 crore. There are 6 crore DTH telephones, total telephone subscription, total televisions are 18 crore, out of which 6 crore are through DTH. Okay, I am proceeding. Cabinet note for 100% FDI in DTH service. What does that mean, FDI? The government has permitted foreign equity participation up to 100% in DTH services, direct to home services. The license period is increased from 10 years to 20 years, and the license fee is reduced. It is given that currently India has 18 crore television sets. So these are the news items covered. We have well covered all the information in our previous question. I am proceeding. Vocal for local. Listen, this is about the Jammu Kashmir election. Jammu Kashmir District Development Council polls were conducted in J&K, in which the People's Alliance for Gupkar declaration. What is this Gupkar declaration? It is in Gupkar that major opposition parties of Jammu and Kashmir came together and passed a resolution against the abrogation of Article 370. Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, had given the Jammu and Kashmir a special status. There is a history regarding that, which I am not getting into at the moment. So Article 370 had given special status to J&K. Last year, the government of India decided to abrogate Article 370. So Jammu and Kashmir was reorganized. Jammu and Kashmir was divided into Jammu and Kashmir. Both are presently union territories, no longer a state, but it's a union territory. It is divided into Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, two regions. Ladakh is a union territory without a legislature, and J&K is a union territory with a legislature. So listen, Article 370 was abrogated. So with the abrogation of Article 370, Jammu Kashmir has lost its special status in the constitution, and J&K was divided into two union territories, J&K and Ladakh. Ladakh is a union territory without a legislature, and J&K is a union territory with a legislature. Against these developments, the major political parties of Jammu and Kashmir came together and made the Gupkar declaration denouncing the government changes and government decision to abrogate Article 370 and thereby taking away the special status that had been granted to J&K. This Gupkar alliance has won most of the seats in the latest election. The most important thing is that the opposition Gupkar alliance parties were not given a level playing field for the election. Sudden moves against valley based politicians in Roshni land scam, cricket scam and other cases by the enforcement directorate, government agency swung into different investigation and actions against many politicians. PDP leader Wahidul Rahman was arrested just days after he filed his nomination, all amounted to undesirable use of state machinery with a political intent. That is what the Hindu says. All these actions were taken with a political intent to make sure that the opposition parties could not conduct the fair election. So that is the Hindu, that is what the Hindu says. Anyway, the elections are over. You may please go through how the people voted, or the voting pattern and the results of the vote you should know. Just read. This is not going to come for your examination, but you have to build ideas and information regarding what is happening in J&K. Fourth question, the Union Cabinet has approved merging of 4 government run film and media units. Pick out the one which is not the one among them. So 4 media units and film and media units, they were government run, were merged, and pick out the one which is not one among them. What is the answer? The Films Division, the Directorate of Film Festivals, the National Film Archives of India, Children's Film Society, and the National Film Development Corporation. What is your answer? Out of these 5, 4 are merged, meaning they will not be any further independent entities. Yes, I have started getting responses. Let me get a few more. Okay, most of you gave me the correct answer. The answer is the 5th option. The 5th option. All these 4 are merged into 5. That is what happened. All these 4, the Films Division, the Directorate of Film Festivals, the National Film Archives of India, and Children's Film Society, all these 4 were merged with the National Film Development Corporation. That was what happened. A very important question, maybe for your forthcoming examination. Cabinet approves merger of 4 film and media units. I have already given you the answer to the question. Most of the things are covered. So, ensuring synergy and efficiency in achieving the mandate of each media unit. This will lead to reduction in duplication of activities and direct savings to exchequer, says the government. Why should we have 4 different agencies doing almost similar things, or maybe things that can be merged? That is how the government thought, so that duplication of work can be reduced and can save money, which otherwise the exchequer had to spend. So that is the news item. Trump rejects wasteful COVID-19 and aid bill. We discussed it the previous day that the US Congress, both the Republicans and the Democrats, came together and passed a stimulus package worth 900 billion. This stimulus package was discussed in the last session of our newspaper analysis. So the government, the US Congress, both the Republicans as well as the Democrats came together and passed a $900 billion towards the stimulus package. People will be given $600 per $300 per week, or whatever it be. I discussed it. Yeah, okay. Notably, a big increase in the proposed $600 payment to direct payments to less well-off Americans, and but now the president has rejected the proposal as a wasteful COVID expenditure. It's a wasteful expenditure. That's what the President Donald Trump has said. So this is again a controversial decision, because the president is about to leave the White House within a month's time, but just before that the United States President has rejected the decision taken by the US Congress to provide a 900 billion stimulus package, which would have helped lakhs of poor Americans or less well off Americans. Fifth question, as per the latest research paper submitted by the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, NIPFP, you must be familiar with all these agencies. The revenue shortfall for GST compensation payable to states could be about rupees dash lakh crore. Let the answers come. The National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, NIPFP, has said that the shortfall will be 1.95 lakh crore. The GST Council had earlier predicted the figure 2.35 lakh crore. This was the estimate of the GST Council. Based on this particular calculation, that the Government of India initially decided that it was withdrawing from compensating the states completely against its earlier promise. Listen, when GST was implemented in the year 2017, it was implemented on 2017 July 1 onwards. When GST was implemented, there was a commitment from the central government that if there would be any revenue loss on the part of the state, those loss will be 100% compensated by the central government for the next 5 years. So that commitment had to be followed till 2022, meaning till 2022, if there is any revenue shortfall due to states surrendering their authority to tax by implementing GST, then there must have been 100% compensation for the shortfall by the central government. But central government of late suggested the COVID issues and said that it would not be able to compensate the states completely, and they suggested that the revenue shortfall is due is to the tune of 2.35 lakh crore. But now the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy say it will not be 2.35 lakh, rather it will be just 1.95 lakh crore. Government of India has also changed its stance later on and said that it would compensate the state completely. NIPFP pegs best case GST revenue gap at 1.95 lakh crore. This is what I have said, that it would not be, or it will be less than the 2.35 lakh crore estimated by GST Council. It will be only 1.95 lakh crore. It is a paper, it has submitted a paper titled The Pandemic and GST Revenue. It has said that it would not be 2.45 lakh crore, won't exceed 2.5 lakh crore, that was what I had earlier said, but now it is said that it will be only 1.95 lakh crore. Okay, so an important figure for you to understand. Sixth question, pick out the most correct choice with regard to GST Council's decision on GST. GST Council has made a few decisions recently. The mandatory physical verification of premises is introduced for purpose of granting GST registration. A new rule is introduced that mandates businesses with monthly turnover of 50 lakh or more to pay at least 1% of their GST liability in cash instead of using input tax credits to discharge their entire liability. With effect from January 1, 2021, e-way bill for transporting goods under GST allowed transporters to cover 200 kilometers in one day. Is it all except A, all except B, all except C, all the above, or none of these? What is your answer? Let more responses come quickly. Yes, the answer is the fourth option, all the above are correct. Listen, if you apply for GST registration, the government has made it mandatory the physical verification of your premises. GST registration is always given to a particular premise. So that premise will be physically verified by GST officials before the registration is approved, that is its meaning. Now, when you if your monthly turnover is more than 50 lakh, then you cannot take complete input tax credit, but 1% has to be paid in cash. More clarification has to come from the GST. This is a newspaper review. With effect from January 1, e-way bill can be used to cover 200 kilometers in one day. So these are the major changes. All the three are very correct. Yes, the same news I have cleared, I have spoken about it almost completely. Pay 1% in cash. Separately, a new rule has been introduced by the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs that mandates businesses with monthly turnover of 50 lakh to pay at least 1% of their GST liability in cash instead of issuing input tax credits, using input tax credit to discharge their entire liability. So GST rules are becoming more and more complicated. In fact, what the nation requires is a very simple GST format. It must be more self-complying. So the more complicated the laws are, the less would be the compliance. So the government should make sure that the laws become very simple so that everybody can comply with tax laws. I am moving on to the next paper. Government reviews offer for dialogue. Over 6,000 travellers from UK traced. Britain has clinched Brexit trade deal. We have discussed the trade deal, the Brexit in detail on one day. Britain said that it has finally clinched a deal with the European Union. Britain decided in 2017 through a referendum to go out of the European Union, and the 2 years were the transition period. So the transition period was to end in a few days, but the question was, should Britain move out of the European Union with a deal or without a deal? What is meant by this deal? What is going to be Britain's trade relations with the European Union post Brexit? That is what is called the deal. So can there be a deal acceptable to both parties? What are the both parties? The United Kingdom and the EU. Or should Britain has to move out without a deal, meaning the relations, trade relations with Britain and EU will be very open. But finally Britain has been able to clinch a deal with the European Union, a deal which was acceptable to both the parties. Learning to let go. This particular article is about the income tax, the failure of the income tax department in the International Arbitration Court. So 𝐃𝐚𝐥𝐸 was given a retrospective legislation demand by the income tax department in 2014. We discussed this just now, and finally the income tax department failed, and the arbitration court has asked the government of India to refund the entire amount that it has collected from the 𝐾𝐚𝐥𝐸 by withholding their dividend payout and selling of their shares. So all the money has to be paid back. Now what the newspaper says is that we should not fight the case any further, because that will give wrong signals to international investors that India keeps inconsistent legislations where the investment would not be safe. So that is what the article says. The editorial says that we should not meddle any further with these sort of cases. That will give a very wrong signal to India's credentials as a safe destination for investment. Of course, consistency of laws is an important precondition for investors to come. So, if we are unpredictable in making laws and penalizing the companies, then investors would think that India is no longer a safer destination to invest or not a safe destination to invest, and they will move away from India and will go to greener pastures. India files appeal against Vodafone. Of course, this was the 𝐃𝐚𝐥𝐿's case was the second one. India had appealed against Vodafone. This we discussed in one of the previous days classes, and in that case also the government of India failed, lost the case, and British company, the Vodafone, the British company was given, was to be compensated by the government, but the government of India has appealed against Vodafone in the case. The arbitration court had favored Vodafone in the case, but now the government of India has gone on appeal. So, let us see what is going to happen. FIFA Club World Cup, FIFA's Club World Cup. Club World Cup will be held from February 2021 in which country? Is it France, England, Brazil, Spain or Qatar? Yes, what is the answer? Quickly give me the answer. Yes, it is Qatar. The answer is Qatar, correct. Qatar is the place where the World Cup 2022, FIFA World Cup 2022 is going to be held. A very important country, one of the richest countries in the world, if not the richest country in the world. Chetan Chauhan is named the chairman of selectors. The BCCI has appointed Debasis Mohanty, Chetan Chauhan and Ebi Kuruvilla. Ebi Kuruvilla has got some Kerala connection. He played for Bombay, but he is a Malayali. So, all these three people make the national selectors for the years to come. India has filed an appeal in Singapore court against the International Arbitration Tribunal verdict that overturned its demand for 22,100 crore from Vodafone. We have just discussed this question, so it is no longer valid. So, the Vodafone India has appealed against the decision of the International Arbitration Court, which favored the Vodafone Incorporative. Vishwabharati University was set up by Rabindranath Tagore in 1921 at Bolpur in West Bengal's Dash district. Vishwabharati University was set up by Rabindranath Tagore in 1921 at Bolpur in which district of West Bengal? Yes, what is your answer? Yes, the answer is correct, Birbhum. It was in Birbhum that Tagore established, set up Vishwabharati University. Vishwabharati University is celebrating its centenary. It is a centenary year. Who among the following has been appointed the chairman of panel of selectors? It is Chetan Sharma. We have already discussed it. It is Chetan Sharma. So, it is no longer a valid question. We have already seen the slide. Pick out among the following the award that is not won by poet Sugata Gurumari, who passed away recently. We know that Sugata Gurumari teacher is no more. Which award has not been won by Sugata Gurumari teacher? She was a legendary figure from Kerala who lived beyond her times. It was in 1970s that she protested against the Silent Valley project. At that time, we never thought that there would be environmental problems, climate change, increase in temperature. We never predicted any of these. Pollution, all these things were not a problem in 1970s. So it was that time that the KSEB decided to go for the Silent Valley project. So teacher could easily understand that the project would damage acres and hectares of forest, and forever we would lose hectares and hectares of forest, and hectares and hectares of forest will get submerged with the project, and that would be an irreparable damage. This she could foresee in 1970s, when climate change was not at all a problem that we could not foresee. So what we ordinary people could not foresee is what she foresaw 50 years ago, during the 40 years ago, during the 1970s. And her latest struggle was against the Aramula airport, and it was her intervention that forced the governments, both the governments, to apply brakes on Aramula airport project. As for a small state of Kerala's kind, why do we require this many airports? So paddy fields are made by hard work of generations and generations and generations of people. So it would take many generations to make a paddy field, but the moment a government decides to build an aerodrome by converting the paddy field will be lost with that decision. So with one single stroke of decision, generations of hard work will be lost, and that is what Sugatha teacher protested against. So she did not win Bharatiya Jnanapith. She was a Padma Shri awardee, Kendra Sahitya Academy awardee, Kerala Sahitya Academy awardee, Saraswati Samman awardee. Okay, so that's it. So please write make a detailed note on Professor Sugatha Kumari teacher. Thank you very much for watching the program. We have discussed around 11 questions, and we have discussed almost every news item that came up in the newspaper, very prominent ones. I request all of you to read the newspapers and prepare your notes. Tomorrow we will not have any program, as it being Sunday, but on Monday we shall discuss Saturday's paper as well as Sunday's paper. Come prepared. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Of course, we will have a program at 3 o'clock again. Goodbye. Thank you.